Hello, David here with Northwest Outdoor Adventures, and I am joined again
with Courtney.
And here we are for the 4th episode of the post-race podcast. And today we're going in a completely opposite direction from our last episode, which was the 100-miler. Today we're talking about the Oktoberfest trail runs, 5 and 10 mile.
Yep.
That took place in Leavenworth. Now, for those that don't know, so this event actually took place last weekend, and we kind of decided on a whim to do this. It was something that, we kind of had a goal set in mind that we wanted to do a race at least once a month for the year, and we're on pace for that, although we missed February, I think. But anyways, this race just kind of lined up well. I mean, it was almost a month exactly after the 100-miler. I'm finally recovering to a point where I feel like I can run again, and we were both signed up for the 10-mile.
Yeah.
And we both ended up going down to the 5-mile.
Yeah.
So you felt sick.
Yeah, I was sick for probably a week before that, and just started to feel better Friday night, and the race was Saturday morning, so definitely wasn't wanting to run 10 miles. I could hardly breathe.
Yeah, and I had my own problems with, my foot still kind of hurts from the 100-miler and just still trying to recover and get back into it. And I didn't want to have her wait around for me, while I was doing the 10-mile when she finished the 5. So anyways, that's kind of the background of why we chose to do this event. Also because it takes place in Leavenworth. And for those that don't know, Leavenworth is this really cool little Bavarian town in Washington. It's actually on the east side of the Cascades, kind of bordering the North Cascade Range, and it's really cool. It's like a couple hours away from Seattle, just over the mountains there, and most people, when they think of Washington, they think of rain, rain and evergreens, and while it certainly gets its fair share, that is a much more, it has more seasonal changes. They get snow, and it's really cool. Now, I mentioned it's Bavarian, and I truly mean that. It's like the whole town has this Bavarian theme to it, so it's got this German type feel. Tons of bratwurst, tons of pretzels, and if you're a beer guy or girl, they have plenty of that. Yeah. Tons of different beers and stuff. Neither of us really drink all that much. Oddly enough, being ultra runners and stuff, we don't really do that. But there is tons of that there, and people love it. So,
and it was Oktoberfest, so when we went, it was really busy.
Yeah, so lots of beers during Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And so, there's just a bunch of cool stuff going on in the area, and we thought, well, hey, we got time, and why not? We both feel somewhat up to it. So, the description on the course from their website, the actual race is put on by Wenatchee, or Run Wenatchee. We ran one of their other races this year, I believe, the Trail Horse Half Marathon. Mm-hmm. Which was pretty cool. I liked that event a lot. And so when we saw it was put on by them, and I'll just briefly read the description there on their website. It is held in Wenatchee National Forest near Leavenworth, with the start and finish occurring on the Leavenworth Ski Hill facility, which neither of us knew they had that. It's only 2 miles away from the actual town, like the main strip. But it's cool. And so the 5-mile, which is what we did, took place completely on the ski hill trails around there. Which, to give you an idea of the trails, none of it is really what I would call single track.
No.
It's all like, a car.
Track.
No, it's not paved at all. But,
well, yeah.
Yeah, there's no pavement there. But it's the size for a car to drive on. It looks like cars do drive on it, and it's probably cleared. Maybe it's groomed even in the winter, for all I know. So maybe there's room for groomers to get through there. And so anyways, the trail run serves as a fundraiser for Leavenworth Winter Sports Club, which operates the ski hill, and its junior Nordic team. So, not that we take part in any of that stuff, but, sounds like it's for a good cause. And the actual price for the race wasn't too expensive. It was less than $100 for the 10-mile. I think it was like 60.
60, yeah.
Something like that. Reasonable.
Maybe 65, but it was, yeah.
And it came with, they had a raffle and all this stuff, and
free brats at the end.
And this nice shirt, this cool Oktoberfest shirt that we each got. Nice long sleeve tech for those that aren't watching. And so all around, I mean, for the price for the 10 milers, seemed pretty good. Although again, we dropped to the 5, and obviously didn't get a reduced price for that, which is fine because we did it the morning of. So I can't imagine this episode's going to be too long. So training for myself was pretty much just recovery mode from the 100 miler. I maybe ran in between. I don't think I ran at all for at least 1 week after the 100 miler, which took place about a month ago. So at least 1 week I didn't run at all. I maybe walked and ran like 1 to 5 miles the following week. And then, so for the last 2 weeks, I've ramped it up a little bit. I probably put in like 15 miles and 20 miles, I would say. Something like that. So overall, my training's been pretty weak. But for a 5 mile or a 10 mile at the time, I was thinking, I knew I could do it. It was just a matter of if it was going to hurt or not or anything like that. So I felt confident going in that I would at least have a good time, which was kind of my goal.
My training was worse than his. I didn't really run at all after his 100 miler of pacing him. The week after...
Which you did about 30 miles.
Yeah, I did about 30 miles.
Throughout the night.
Yeah. The week after, I actually think I might have ran like twice at the gym. But when I say run, it was like probably a mile on the treadmill both times. And then maybe 3 weeks after, I probably put in like 8 miles. And then the week I got sick, I didn't run at all. So there was probably like 2 or 3 weeks where I hardly ran at all. So I did not feel prepared to run 10 miles at all. And 5, even for me, felt like a lot being sick. So
neither of us trained too well for this, which, surprise, surprise, I wouldn't have expected to after the 100 miler. So as far as, expectation going in, I mean, we were pretty much just there to have a good time and to see Leavenworth and hang out there. So our plan was we drove, we live on the other side of the mountains, on the west side of the mountains, near Olympia, Washington. And so we drove the night before, that Friday. We drove over the mountains, over the pass, and we stayed the night in Clayellum, mostly because it's far cheaper to do that. Clayellum, you can get a decent hotel room. We had a pretty nice room, really. I mean, it wasn't crazy nice. It was like an Econo Lodge suite or something like that, but it was less than $100 for the night. And so we stayed there, which is only an hour away from Leavenworth. And the race started at 8:30, so we figured, we leave at 7, we should be fine. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
We went out there Friday night, stayed in Clayellum, had a kind of gross dinner.
I was going to say we had the worst dinner.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, the restaurant is really cool, and we've been there before.
I think we made the same mistake before.
Yeah, we went to... I mean, generally, I like to eat steak the night before a race for whatever reason. Steak and potatoes, I know that sits well with me, even though, it's not going to matter for this distance, really. But, it's kind of a ritual. I like steak and potatoes, and so we were hoping to get that, and we go to, I believe it's called Bo's.
Bo's, yep.
Or something like that. And, man, that was... First of all, the steak was very, very expensive.
Yeah.
It was like $50 a plate or something like that, which, if I know it's going to be good, I'm not, super opposed to paying for a good steak, but the menu didn't make it look like it was going to be that good. So we were like, all right, well, let's just get the pizza, which is somewhat reasonable. And that was a really horrible pizza.
It was the worst pizza. Way too much sauce, and it tasted very cheap. It was gross.
Yeah, it was like a freezer pizza.
Yeah. And what were the
we got garlic
knots
knots
or something? Those were the worst thing I've ever had.
Yeah, they tasted dusty. Just like dusty dry. Yeah, they were not good.
Yeah, they were gross. So all of what we got was gross.
Yeah. And we ate a bunch of junk food the calories burned on the race versus the calories that we consumed. That ratio is way off for this race. So yeah, we ate a bunch of junk food and had some gross pizza and stuff the night before. The hotel room was fine. And then that morning we drove to Ellensburg. Or, sorry, not Ellensburg, but...
Leavenworth.
Leavenworth. Ellensburg is near that area, though. And... I
think we woke up at 6.
Yeah, we woke up probably a little bit earlier than we needed to. And overall... The drive was fine. Mm-hmm. Felt good going into the race. I decided that morning that I was going to drop. Courtney decided the night before that she was going to drop to the 5 mile.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, on the way there, I was like, yeah, I'm fine with doing the 5, and then we'll just get some brats and hang out. And so this brings us to the race. So we get there, having never been to the ski lift before. We show up. We inform them we're dropping down to the 5 mile. They were cool about that. We got, our race swag, the Tech long sleeve shirt, which was really cool and nice. It's a lot nicer than the one we got at Horse Lake from the same race organizers. And the area itself, it's kind of funny because it is just like it's in between these two hills that come up. And we didn't really know anything about the race going into it. Like I said, we've never ran over in that area before. And so we get there, and there's just this steep hill on either side, so it doesn't matter where the race starts. It starts off just running straight uphill. And so we didn't know what the elevation profile for this looked like or anything like that. And the vibe of that race, so it's been a while since we've done a short race.
The vibe. It was not good.
I can't remember the last time we did something that was, the longest distance was a 10 mile.
I
don't even know.
did a 10K 2 years ago. When did you do?
It's been a while. I mean, I guess the Klickitat half marathon last year was kind of had a similar vibe. But not that that's a bad thing, because really a lot of the people that were out there, you heard them saying like, oh, this is my first trail run. Seems like it's going to be fun. And of course, you saw a lot of people blow up very early because they don't really run hills, it looks like, and they're just used to running on roads. And so that was kind of fun to see. But anyways, you show up there, and the vibe is definitely much more like a road race. A lot of smack talk and stuff I heard people going on about. But it was cool. And they had some nice pre-race food and stuff out there. And they promised to have bratwurst at the finish, which was cool. And so I made the decision once I decided to drop to the 5 mile. I was like, screw it, dude. I'm going to try to win. I mean, I might as well. I didn't know, what kind of competition there was really going to be. But I figured, I don't know, I can at least try and, probably do okay. And so that was my plan. I was like, I'm just going to, whoever goes out fast, I'm going to go out with them and just try to hang with the front as long as I can. And we'll see what happens.
My plan was totally different. My plan was basically to walk the whole thing. Just have fun, run when I felt like I could breathe, and walk when I felt like I couldn't. That was my plan.
So opposite ends of the spectrum there. So the race started, I think the 5 mile actually started at 8:45.
Yeah.
So the race starts, and, it's a short race. There was one aid station at mile 3, and then other than that, it's just start and finish. And so the front of the pack, I did that. I stuck with them for a while. Well, I'll get to that. But I shot out with them, and like I said, it's just straight uphill in the beginning. And I was probably maybe 20 feet behind, like these, I think it was 3 or 4 guys that were pushing the pace in the front for the first mile or so. And I stuck with them. I think there was probably like 5 of us total that were kind of in the front, maybe 6 or so. But anyways, we were all within striking distance for that first mile. And then and that pace, the first half mile, I think it was like low 6s. And there was quite a bit of gain, really. There's probably like over 100 feet of gain in that first mile. And it pushed me harder than I thought it would. So I remember at like mile 1.2, I looked at my watch and I saw my heart rate was really high. And I was like, oh God. I'm 1/5 of the way through the race and I feel like shit already. And it's a 5 mile race. I'm like, God. And so, I think my pace at that time was maybe like 7:30 or something like that. So I had already slowed down a little bit, but I could still see the front guys. So I was probably like maybe 50 feet behind them at that time. And then we came to like another kind of rolling set of like hill, down. And I was like, well, I can't keep up with these guys. I was like, well, I'm just going to walk until my heart rate gets down to like a reasonable level. Cause it was pretty high. It was like 190 or something, which is like for me, normally when I'm running at like decent effort, it's like 180 or something. And so for it to be that high was kind of scary to me.
I had the same problem, actually. My heart rate was like 190 the whole entire race.
And you were walking?
No, I ran the whole time.
Okay. Well, so yeah, that was kind of my first like mile and a quarter or so, or mile and a half. And then I pretty much was like, well, I'm just going to coast or cruise until I get to the aid station and then reevaluate, see if I can try to run hard again after that. And so that's pretty much what I did was I walked a couple of the uphills, like the steeper ones, and maybe cruised down the downs. But for the most part, I was just taking it pretty easy for that first, or the next 2 miles after the first mile. How did your race look going up to the aid station?
Mine, so I started out actually pretty harder than I wanted to, just because I didn't want to walk in the very beginning. So I ran up the hill in the very beginning, and all of the first mile pretty much I ran. Then after that first mile, I started to take it a little easier. I think that first mile my pace was like 11 minutes or something per mile, which is pretty good for me. And then after that, I started to take it a little easy. I was still running, but anything that was a bigger hill, I was walking up pretty much the whole time that there was a hill, I'd be walking. And then when there wasn't hills, I was trying to push as hard as I could. There was a couple people that I was trying to like target and then kind of stay with them. And it worked out pretty well. And I didn't use the first aid station. So when I got, or the only aid station, I guess, but when I got to that aid station, a lot of people were stopping. So that was nice because I just kept going. And yeah, the first 3 miles for me was probably the easiest. And then the end was where it was hard because I was running and I couldn't breathe. And my heart rate was high the whole time. And then at the end, I was really trying to beat people. And, but yeah, the first 3 miles, nobody said anything to me. And normally on trail runs, people are talking the whole time. And I could see people angry. Like when I would pass them, they weren't happy. Like they were just mad and would try to push harder. Like they didn't say anything. Nobody said anything, but you could just tell it. There was like grunting, like when you would pass, or it was weird. I didn't feel...
Yeah, that's part of the vibe that I was talking about too is, and that same thing happened to me where there was especially like 2, I think, scenarios where I was running right next to somebody for, decent, like a quarter mile at least or something, before eventually like they went off or I went off. And especially that 1-2 mile stretch where I was just kind of taking it easy in between mile 1 and 3. I probably got passed, by like 6 or 7 people, and everyone that passed me, I was like, oh, nice job.
Same.
And they just like didn't even look at me or acknowledge that I said anything. I'm just like, oh, weird. Normally I'm used to getting a response, or, when I pass somebody in a trail race, it's typically like, oh, nice job, man. I'll see you later or something like that. So yeah, that was just something we're not used to.
It was also really weird because there was this older couple. I mean, I'm not entirely sure if they were a couple or just friends or maybe like father-daughter. I don't know what they were, but that guy was very like in it to win it. And I mean, they weren't winning it, but any time that the wife or daughter would come up to me, because it was times where I'd be walking up a hill, he would get really angry at her for walking, and he would be like, you can beat this girl, like, keep running, you don't stop. And I'm like, oh my god, like, I mean, I never looked at them just because it was weird. But yeah, anytime that they would walk by me, he would want to run and she like couldn't do it, and he would just be like kind of like yelling at her like, you don't walk, are you kidding me? I'm like, oh man, I'm walking. Yeah, it was really weird.
Well, so yeah, there was a lot of that in that race, which was kind of strange. When I get to that,
at the aid station?
Yeah, I stopped. At that time, there was nobody around me really. There was one guy in front of me that blew right through the aid station, and I was like, nah, I'm stopping, because it was kind of up on this little hill, and I just wanted to bomb down it afterwards. And so I drank some Gatorade, which was gross.
Was it watered down?
Yeah, it had to be watered down or something. It was red Gatorade that tasted just like Kool-Aid, kind of like watery Kool-Aid. But it was all right. It was nice and cool, I guess. So I drank that, and then I took off, and I was like, all right, back in business. Let's do this. Let's pass some people. And I think at that time I watched that it was like 8:40 my pace, and I was like, ugh. Because I was hoping, when I started, I didn't really know what the terrain looked like. So, it was kind of up in the air as to what my pace was going to be, but I was hoping to be, sub 8. because I figured 5 miles, what the heck, I should be able to run that far, at like an 8-minute pace in a race. But I guess not. I can't do that. So the next 2 miles, I did pick up the pace a bit, and I passed a couple people. Nobody passed me the last 2 miles, so I caught back up. And I thought I was probably in like 7th or 8th place at that time. I pushed hard at the finish. I actually passed another like person down the last hill, which I don't know. Maybe they saw as a dick move. I don't know. They didn't seem happy. But whatever.
I passed like a 64-year-old woman. So.
Yeah, so they didn't seem stoked that I did that. Sorry if you're watching this. And I think it was his first race because I heard him talking afterwards to his parents. And there was a lot of young people, speaking of which. But anyways, yeah, so I pushed hard. I thought I had gotten like 7th or 8th, but it turns out I got 12th overall.
Which is good.
Yeah, which isn't bad. I think there was 140 total or something like that. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. I guess I was in the top 10%. But yeah, I kind of thought I did a little bit better. The guy that won was
14 years old.
Yeah, my overall time was like 40 minutes about. And the guy that won was 32 minutes, and he was 14 years old. So kudos to him. That is insane. And the next closest person, I think, was 38 minutes. So there's a pretty big gap in between first and second there.
Wasn't the female 4th, and she was young too, 17?
Yeah. So one girl beat me. So she, and I think, she was like 4th overall.
Both of their rankings were 100%.
Well, that was their only race.
Oh, that's why.
But yeah, on Ultra Sign Up, that is.
Okay, I was like, wow.
But yeah, that girl passed me probably maybe
the last
mile 2.5. Oh, no,
okay.
She passed me earlier. And she looked really strong. I was like, it was impressive how good of an effort she was putting on. And for 17 years old, she was pacing herself pretty well. But yeah, she did awesome, it looked like. And I did see her and the front guy actually, because there's a couple areas where you can see the people that are in front of you because, there's kind of like these switchback type things, and it's this big kind of crazy loop course.
And they seem so much closer.
Yeah, and you think you're like, oh, dang, I can catch this guy.
Yeah.
Turns out they're like 2.5 minutes in front of you.
Yeah.
Or like a mile or a half mile in front of you. But, so yeah, I finished with a strong effort, and I was pretty happy with the overall race of the day. I mean, I didn't hurt, which was a great thing. Like, I was way more tired than I thought I would be. Excuse me. For running 5 miles, that is. But, I was happy. And I was pretty happy that I dropped from the 10 mile down to the 5 just because I felt a little beat up, to be honest, which is kind of pathetic. But at the same time, I got nothing to prove, dude. I ran 100 miles like a month ago. That's kind of how I see it. So the recovery could be going better, but at the same time, I'm happy that I can actually run at all. So, yeah, I don't know. How did your last 2 miles? I did see your last 2 miles, some of it.
My last 2 miles, actually, that's when I started to push it pretty hard, just because I knew it was 2 miles and that I'd probably be fine pushing it hard. My heart rate was really high the whole time. So there was times where I just stopped and walked because I was kind of scared that it was so high. There was a point where I was walking even, and it was at 194. And that was scary. But yeah, I passed probably like 10 people the last 2 miles. Really, the last mile is when I really started to pass people. But yeah, I passed quite a bit of people, just cruised. My pace for the last 3 miles was about 12:30, 12:40, 12 minutes, 40 seconds. And yeah, I did kind of the same thing. At the very end, there was these 2 girls that were running together that were probably around my age, and they were not happy that I passed them. And then, but I think they were just kind of doing it for fun. I don't know. But
I hope everyone was just doing that for fun. There was no prizes, really.
There was a lot of tryhards out there. I don't know. It was weird.
That's true.
And then I passed this guy that was the same age as me, but he was looking rough. He had a hard time. And then at the very end, on the downhill to the finish was when I like really kicked it in gear and passed that lady. And she was like 20 seconds after me or something. And I felt really beat up when I got done. It was probably like 40 degrees out. It was a really pretty day, but my lungs hurt so bad when I was done. I couldn't tell if it was because it was cold or just because I was sick and I couldn't breathe the whole time. But my lungs hurt really bad.
Yeah, actually mine did too. And I think part of it, at least for me, was they had just they clear cut a bunch of this grass, which was like a straw type grass. And my allergies were definitely kicking up. And I did not like that.
I didn't feel
That
my
was kind of,
allergies, but gosh, my throat, I couldn't breathe. I think that's why my heart rate was so high, was I would like try to breathe and it was like, I just couldn't get any oxygen. Like the whole time I was trying to breathe, I just couldn't, my throat just felt cold or icky the whole time.
I blame it on the cut grass for myself. But yeah, I forgot. I did feel that too. And so the course, which we didn't mention, I don't think, to this
beautiful.
point. Yeah, the course was really pretty, especially for how close it is to town. The parking wasn't bad either. We showed up a little bit early, so that made it a little bit easier. But the parking lot is big. The event itself was, handled really well. The guys at Run Wenatchee, I believe, did a very good job. I don't remember his name. I saw him though, and he patted me on the back when I finished, which was nice. But nice race. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. And like I said, Leavenworth is beautiful in general. I mean, the town is super cool. It's a little expensive to actually stay in the town, but it's probably worth it to do at least once in your life. It's kind of cool, especially around Christmas or
Christmas is
October,
great. The lights
when
are so
Oktoberfest is
pretty.
going on. Yeah, it's great. Definitely recommend it. The loop. So the loop that you run, I didn't mention, it has 600 feet
yeah.
of climbing, a little over 600 feet.
And it's really hilly too. There's like there's a couple areas where you're definitely running, but then there's like just random hills.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I would definitely classify this as totally runnable, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think normally I would have ran the whole thing. I just paced myself horribly for that first mile and kind of blew up early, which I don't regret. But, it is what it is. There really isn't too many flats, basically. It's
kind of just all rolling.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's a really, really good first trail race. If you're in the Pacific Northwest and you are looking for your first trail race, well, now you got to wait a year. But hopefully you're watching this later and it's closer to this race and they put it on next year, because I would definitely recommend it. It's a great first trail race. It's a really safe area, really pretty, and the people that put on the event did a good job. So can't recommend it enough. Don't know about that 10 mile.
I'm sure it was probably pretty as well. It was a lot of the same trail, and then the first 3 miles was the same trail, and then it kind of went off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because if you are in the area with Leavenworth, I mean, if you're at Leavenworth in terms of, if you're just in the area not doing this race, don't waste your time going to this area because there are so many gorgeous hikes all over that area. I mean, you have the Enchantments, which I have to assume almost everyone has heard of at this point. But if you haven't, look it up because it's got some of the most beautiful trails around. I mean, and, just some day hikes in the area like Kolchak Lake and stuff. But if you're a runner, you can do a straight shot through the Enchantments. I think from town and then going through, if you just through hike it and stuff, it's about it's about a 50K, sorry. So 31 miles. The actual trail, I think, is 18 or 17 with a lot of gain.
I was going to say, isn't there a lot of gain for that?
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's awesome and it's super, super beautiful. It's something that I've been meaning to do. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. If I do, I'll make a video about it. But yeah, it's a super, super cool place. Can't recommend it enough. And yeah. I mean, we're only at a half an hour, but that's, a 5 mile race. How much can you really talk about it? I can't think of anything that I missed.
After the race, we ended up going to Leavenworth, obviously. And we're going to go to Oktoberfest, but it's actually...
Listen to this.
Yeah, they actually charge you $20 per person to get in, and it's just a couple of tents where they have food. I mean, it could be cool if you drink. We don't drink, so it's not something that's like super appealing to us. But
$20 a person.
Yeah, and they don't actually have that great of food. The only thing different from the town was like turkey legs and what else?
Well, you can even get those in town. So I mean, nothing really. And it's this wax system where you have to pay for tickets in order to.
and it's like Each ticket is like $1 or something like that. And
yeah. Well, so all that being said, we didn't actually do it, and we've never done it. So we're kind of
so we have no idea if it's
we're
great
kind
or
of
not.
shitting on it, even though we haven't.
Which
done
is
it.
like and we don't drink, so it's probably not something that
we are not the target audience.
Yes.
That being said, the town itself was great, and we
Yes.
hung out and walked the strip and stuff, and we got our bratwurst.
Busy, though. Probably
It
one
was
of the
busy.
busiest times. We had to park. We had to actually pay to park, and I don't think we've only ever paid one time to park. And I don't remember why we paid that time, but yeah, we've only ever paid one time to park. And that was also another day that we did a race as well. But yeah, we got a brat and split it, and we got a pretzel and split that, and the pretzel was so good. The pretzel, I think this time was better than the brat for me. I loved the pretzel.
They were both great. Yeah, there's a couple areas that you have to go to pretty much if you go to Leavenworth.
What is that place called?
It's the Cured Meats. Now we're out of like the 10 people that watch this. There's like maybe one of those 10 people that has been to Leavenworth. But yeah, there's a couple shops in there that are really worth checking out. And there's some new places that we checked out too.
And I got ice cream from... I don't know about
There's no way you'll know
either.
the name. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to ever...
The ice cream was really good. It was chai with honeycomb? Chai honeycomb. That's what it was. And it was really good. And I just got a kid's cone because we had already ate. But it was probably the best ice cream I've ever had. And my favorite ice cream is either probably pistachio or mint chocolate chip. But this kind was really good. And I think that's it. We didn't really do anything else. We just kind of chilled and then went home.
Yeah, after that we just moseyed on home.
Mm-hmm.
So, that pretty much wraps up the Oktoberfest 5-mile trail run put on by Run Wenatchee, taking place in Leavenworth. What's next?
I don't know. We were going to look for something in December, but I haven't totally looked yet.
Yeah, unfortunately I'm probably going to travel for work quite a bit in the next month or two, which is going to kind of screw over my race events. So we might do a road race in December just because I don't think there's much available. And in November, I don't know, there's the Bellingham Trail Marathon, which I might try and check out. That's a destination trail event put on by Candace Burt, and it looks kind of good. It's just up in the Chuckanut area of Bellingham. So,
Chuckanut,
so yeah, we might go check that out. Or maybe we'll volunteer or something. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. Like the Klickitat Trail Marathon takes place the same day as the Bellingham Trail.
November?
Yeah, November 3rd. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But that's pretty much it.
Got to start lining up next year.
Oh, yeah.
Next year's races.
So next episode, we'll do the post-race if we do a race in November. But we will do a year-end review, and that's going to cover everything we did this year. Just kind of a wrap-up of all of our favorite events and talk about each one again individually because we did a bunch in the beginning of the year that we never made episodes for. So we'll talk about those real quick. Well, maybe not real quick. Who knows? But that'll come out, this year. And then we'll also do a 2019 pre-race review or pre-race. A preview, I guess, of certain races. So look for those in the future, and that should be exciting. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening or watching or whatever you're doing. We appreciate it. And yeah. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.
All right. Bye.